Brazilian Park Washuzan Highland, yes, that is the name of the place, is an amusement park located in Okayama, Japan, is home to 3 roller coasters, this is not one of them, as well as an array of other various attractions. And I gotta say, I had very mixed feelings about this place. On one hand, I loved it. On the other hand, this place sucked. So this is going to be a very interesting review as I talk about Brazilian Park Washuzan Highland, whatever Washuzan means. So let's walk through the experience of going to this park. The first thing I want to address, we did take a bus to get here. We took that from Okayama Station, and it was a very scenic drive to get here. Now I'm going to talk about the scenery in a little bit, but first impressions of this place, we are greeted with a very cheap admission ticket. This was probably the cheapest or one of the cheapest parks of the trip. We paid 2,600 yen to get in, or the equivalent of about 26 US dollars. So, was it worth the value that we paid for this place? Oh yeah, totally. In fact, I'm glad that it wasn't too much more, because if it was, then we would start getting to where, okay, yeah, this place is a ripoff. And unfortunately, while we were at that counter, we were told some bad news. Only one of the 3 roller coasters would be open. Luckily, the one open is probably their more iconic roller coaster, which is this very vibrant pink and purple Togo roller coaster called Pink Typhoon Standing Coaster. You can tell it was newly repainted, so at least the park is taking some time to make sure that ride looks good. They have 2 other rides, one at the very back of the park that looks to be more of a family attraction, and then one right when you walk in, and that's their Togo Ultra Twister. It's one of the 4 Ultra Twisters in Japan. This was closed not because of maintenance, it was actually because they were repainting it. So that's when I'm like, okay, I'll let them off the hook. I've been told it is open now. They finished that paint job and supposedly it's looking great, but we were actually completely unaware that they were repainting it. So we went in expecting to ride another Ultra Twister and we did not. The actual entry plaza isn't much of a plaza. It's actually almost more of a food court. They have lots of tables and chairs set up, as well as some food booths where you can get some stuff to eat. And this came in handy to us later because we actually got a chicken sandwich and it was very cheap. It was 200 yen, aka about $2. That's unheard of at a theme park. This was pretty much the only place to get food in the park. So everything here is very inexpensive. It was so funny when we were exiting the park, going back through this big eatery area, we were handed bingo boards so that everyone in the park could join in this giant bingo game held in that section. How about that? Play bingo at a park. Never heard of it before, but I thought it was hilarious. So now that you're inside the park, you go to the left to ride the Ultra Twister, and you actually go to the right when you're on a ride Pink Typhoon Standing Coaster. When we walked up to this thing, it was not operating, even though we had just seen it run a minute or 2 ago, because the one ride up, yeah, there was only one guy stationed at this attraction. He was actually going on his lunch break, so he told us come back in an hour. I thought that was kind of funny. That would never happen at an American amusement park. There's always more than one ride up, so they can keep the attractions open, but here they had very minimal staffing, so it was actually the last attraction we did for the day. But just to kind of run down the experience, we rode it with a backwards sit-down train, not actually a stand-up train. I've been told they run a stand-up train during certain times of the day. However, it looked like when we were there, it was only the backwards train, so you might be able to catch this when it's running a stand-up train. But if you visit here, be prepared. There are 2 different options that they have for running this attraction, so I guess whichever train they run depends on how they feel for the day. So how do you get to the other attractions in the park? This is where it gets fun. I hope you guys didn't skip leg day, because if you didn't, you're about to get a big workout, because there are so many stairs here. Easily the most stairs I've ever climbed at once. See this shot right here? Stop right there. That section of stairs that you see is probably half of the amount of stairs that lead up to the top of this park where the rest of the rides are. The entire park is on a hill. There is no escalator, no elevator. You gotta walk up all the stairs. In fact, there are so many stairs to get to the top of this place that they have a bathroom located halfway up the stairs. And that's located at one of the multiple landings that they have there for people to stop and take a breather, because they know how many stairs there are that people probably aren't going to be able to make it all the way up there at once. It is insane. There are these brightly colorful stairs. I mean, people talk about how Six Flags Magic Mountain is an extremely hilly park. No. This is the craziest terrain park I have ever seen in my life. It is ridiculous. And one last thing I'll actually say about this bathroom here, don't use it. It is absolutely disgusting. Clearly clearly it is not being cleaned, maintained, or renovated. And that's one trend that you'll notice with this place is it could use some TLC. A lot of the things here look outdated and just in general need a little love. And that's why I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I was glad to see that they had recently repainted this Togo because it did look great with the new colors and the fact that they repainted the Ultra Twister. So they are spending some money to make the park at least look good, but man, it'd be nice if they updated some of these areas. So at long last, you have made it to the top of the stairs. What attractions are you going to find? The first is that one family coaster that was not operating. It actually looked like it gave a pretty nice view. It was all white, looked pretty mild. It didn't look like they'd been cycling it in a while. One of the funniest things I thought about it was that there weren't any fences or security things to keep you from touching the track. So there was a point where the pathway is directly under a section of this coaster. And yeah, you can just reach up and touch the track. Also up there is a giant observation wheel. And unfortunately, this wheel does not have any air conditioning and it was very hot when we went, so it felt like a sauna. We were dying. Located next to that family coaster is, here's something different, a bungee jump experience. As you can suspect, this is an upcharge, but it's a 100-foot tall bungee jump that you can pay about 1,700 yen to leap off this tower. And let me tell you, I was actually extremely close to doing this. 1,700 yen, so about 17 bucks? That's nothing. The reason why I didn't is because some of the only people in the park were in line to do this attraction. So it was the only ride here that actually had any sort of wait, because other than that, we're the only people here. We actually didn't spend a whole lot of time at this park because we didn't need it. So what else is up there? One of the more thrilling attractions is an S&S space shot. Shoots you up to the top, drops you back down. Phenomenal view. Probably the best view from the top of a drop tower I've gotten in a while. And because it's already on top of a hill, you feel on top of the world because everything else is just so far below you. It's crazy. Definitely recommend this drop tower. So let's get to the star attraction. You actually have to go down a section of stairs to get to this sky cycling experience. And this is by far one of the coolest rides I've ever done in my life. In my opinion, it is the only reason why I am so glad that I visited this park. If this ride wasn't here, I would have said easily this is the worst park of the trip. But because the sky cycling ride is here, what it does is it takes full advantage of this location because it is here that you really realize, well, here in the drop tower, that you see the view. This was the greatest view we got on the entire Japan coaster tour. Off in the distance, you can see multiple small tiny islands as well as the beginning of the Great Seto Bridge, which stretches from two different parts of Japan. Kind of looks like the Golden Gate Bridge. And the beauty about this ride is you can take as much time as you want to take in this gorgeous view. You can stop on the tracks, take pictures, pedal real fast, whatever you want. Doesn't matter. They don't care. I did this Sky Cycle ride 3 times. It is not a roller coaster. It is 100% human powered, and it's pretty sketchy. You're just being held in with a very loose seatbelt. There's just one thin support holding it up, and it definitely looked like it was rusting away. So in that regard, especially when you get towards the end of the ride, when you are so high up there, and there's just the slightest outer bank to this track, you do not feel safe on that thing. I mean, easily, someone could just leap off of this vehicle and fall to their deaths. There's no way this attraction could ever exist in America without a few other safety measures in place. But here at Brazilian Park Washuzan Highland, they don't care, whatever. I'm a big fan of this attraction. I had remembered seeing a video of it on Facebook from years ago, thinking, wow, that looks really cool. But I didn't think I'd ever get to do it one day. I didn't even know it was at this park before we visited. All I knew about this place was that they had an Ultra Twister. The irony is, that was one of the only rides that I didn't get to do here. I'd completely forgotten about that sky cycling ride, but when I walked up to that entrance and I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, I've seen this before. And it was so cool. It was way better than I was expecting. Definitely a highlight of the trip for me. So that does it for the main attractions. I've talked about how there weren't very many people there, not very many staff members, and the park just needs some TLC. A few other thoughts. It is called Brazilian Park, so it does have a very loose Brazilian theme. And by Brazilian theme, I mean they play lots of Pitbull over the radio. Again, I wish the park were better considering how incredible the location is. So, do I recommend Brazilian Park Washuzan Highland? Okay, here's the thing. I wouldn't be surprised if in 10 years, there's a couple of the parks that I visited that are no longer operating. Frankly, I don't know how this place is making any money. It is extremely cheap to visit, and there is no one there. They must have a really low operating cost or something, because I'm glad that I visited this place because, honestly, I don't know how much longer this place has left. I could totally see it biting the dust. So I'm totally glad that I visited, but would I go back? I would go back if I knew the Ultra Twister were open, as well as the other family coaster. I mean, the place wasn't expensive at all, so I didn't feel like financially it was much of a loss to spend a few hours at this place. But if you have a limited amount of time and you're trying to prioritize which parks should you visit, I'd say skip this place. There's definitely better parks to visit. So I hope you found this review helpful. Let me know down in the comments below if you've had the opportunity to check this place out, if my review helped you decide whether it's worth your time to visit this park. And of course, stay tuned for more reviews from the Japan Coaster Tour and other parks around the world here at Coaster Studios, and I'll see you next time.